everyone. Today we are going to study concept of machine learning. Let me first define what machine learning is. Machine learning is first defined by Ada Samuel, who is the professor at MIT. And he defined that machine learning is a research field that provides computers the ability to run without being explicitly programmed. Here, the important concept is without being explicit, without being explicitly programmed. So it means that this is a computational method to make a prediction using the experience. Here, the experience means the data. After that, the professor Tom Mitchell at CMU, he further defined machine learning with three main concepts: experience, task, and performance measure. So we first define the task T, and the machine learning is a computer program to run from the data to improve the performance measure. So if we have more data, the performance measure increase for a given task. This is a computer program. And he also stressed that this is a computer program without being explicitly programmed. So this is the most important concept. So to help your understanding, let me show you an example. This example is to predict an exam score. So we are given a set of time score pairs and we want to predict an exam score. So we have five training samples. And to run the relationship between time and score, we basically assume that this relationship is based on linear function. And based on this linear function, we want to predict an exam score for new data. So let me first explain the conventional programming. So when you implement the conventional programming, you first identify the hidden pattern between x and y. So based on our observation, we first define that this function, the relationship is based on this function, okay? And then we implement this pattern. This is a conventional computer program. However, for machine learning, we do not provide any explicit rule. We only provide a set of data, and then the computers run the hidden pattern from the data. So we only assume that their relationship is linear function, and computer, based on the error function, the computer identifies some optimal function. Here, he does identify that the relationship between x and y is represented by this function. Okay. This is a difference between conventional programming and machine learning. So let me again explain their differences. So for the conventional programming, we first given an input, and we also provide the program. Here, the program is explicit rule for data, and by providing these two information uh, as input, we can identify the output for an input. This is a conventional programming. However, the machine learning only provide input and output, and the machine learning just automatically run the relationship between input and output. It means that they generate the program. This is a key difference between conventional and machine learning. So let me more explain how we train the machine learning model, and after that, how we use the machine learning model for make prediction. So for model training, the main goal of model training is to find an optimal parameter for a given data set. For that, we first prepare the data, and we also pre-process the data. It means that we filter unnecessary data, and we may reduce the data features. And we can also remove the missing data. This is the data pre-processing. After that, we determine the model, and using the data, we train the data. We train the model. This is a model training. Here, the main goal is to identify the optimal parameter to minimize the error function. Uh, Later, let me define what the error function is. Once we identify the optimal parameter, we just finish the model training. So that we can use the trained model for make predictions. It means that we apply the trained model to the applications. So given a new data set, we apply this trained model and we can make the prediction. This is a model prediction procedure. So basically, the main goal of using machine learning model is to achieve the accurate prediction for new data. And compared to model prediction, the training procedure requires much more computational cost. However, once we train the model, we can simply utilize the trained model for make prediction. So this is a trade-off between training and prediction. And now, let me more study how different machine learning models are. So basically, we can categorize machine learning model into three different types, depending on the characteristics of feedback. So basically, we can categorize the machine learning model depending on the teacher. So if we don't have any teacher, this model is called unsupervised learning. It means that we only train the model with only data and without using any feedback. However, to further improve the accuracy, we basically utilize some label information. So by using the label information, we can improve the accuracy. So for that, we can consider two different machine learning types. One is supervised learning, and another is reinforcement learning. So basically, they utilize the user feedback. However, the key difference between supervised and reinforcement learning is the characteristics of feedback. So for supervised learning, we can utilize the direct feedback. So we know the ground truth value. However, for reinforcement learning, we cannot know the ground truth. We only know the relative information between feedback. So let me more explain the difference between supervised learning and reinforcement learning. So basically, for model training, we are given a set of input vectors x1, x2, and xn, where n is number of data. For supervised learning, we are also have the target output, which is also called labels or responses. So for each input vector, we also have label information, y1, y2, and so on. So for each input and output pair, we can run the relationship. We can learn the relationship between input and output based on their once we train the pattern between input and output, we can use this uh, pattern to predict the output for new input. So basically, the supervised learning has been widely used for machine learning community. So in this class, we also mainly focus on studying supervised learning using deep neural networks. Okay. And the second category is unsupervised learning. So unlike the supervised learning, we don't have any label information. So for supervised learning, we only train the written representation of data with minimal human supervision. So this is more challenging than supervised learning. However, since it doesn't require target output, this is more universal and generalized machine learning technique. So the ultimate goal of machine learning is to support the accurate unsupervised learning model. However, this is still challenging. And the third type is reinforcement. The third type is reinforcement learning. So unlike supervised and unsupervised learning, the reinforcement learning has different different model scenario. Basically, it is based on sequential data. And given a sequential data, the goal of reinforcement learning is to choose the optimal actions for each state. So to identify the optimal action, we basically consider the rewards for each state. So based on the reward, we can determine which action is better or not. So the goal of reinforcement learning is to learn the action that maximize the cumulative rewards for each state. And let me more explain different types of machine learning models. And one popular method is semi-supervised learning. The semi-supervised learning is uh, similar to supervised and unsupervised learning. It basically has a small number of labeled data, but most of the data are unlabeled. So by using a small number of labeled data, we can further label other unlabeled data set and utilize the better pattern. So this is more realistic, more so compared to supervised learning, the semi-supervised learning is more realistic. And since it also has a few label information, it can achieve better accuracy than unsupervised learning. So nowadays, the semi-supervised learning in deep neural network community, it is widely and actively studied. And we can also consider different types of weak supervision. There are two different weak supervision learning, weakly supervised learning method. One type is to utilize insufficient supervision. So for instance, we want to support object detection. A goal of object detection is to generate the rectangle information for each instance. So to identify this rectangle, the label information is also provided by rectangle. However, these rectangle labels are more challenging and more tedious. So we only utilize the classification information. By using the label information, we want to identify this rectangle information. This is insufficient. It only has label information. We do not provide the rectangle information. So this is more challenging and more useful. Another type of weakly supervised learning is to utilize the inaccurate supervision. Basically, the supervised learning assumes that the label information is always correct, and this is ground truth. However, in reality, some label information is not accurate, is not correct. For instance, we have two images. One is panda and another is also panda. However, this one is incorrect. Actually, this is gibbon, 긴팔 원숭이. However, the human may be confused, so they provide incorrect, inaccurate label information. So based on this data, we want to train the optimal model. So we have to lacks the assumption where the relevant information is already always correct. So these two types of weekly supervised learning also has been widely studied using deep neural networks. Okay, so far I briefly explained the several types of machine learning model, and I also explained the recent trend for weekly supervised learning. Okay, so in this class, we basically studied the supervised learning method using deep neural networks, and we also cover some unsupervised learning method using generative model. However, unfortunately, we cannot cover the reinforcement learning using deep neural networks, and it is also difficult to cover the recent trend using weekly supervised learning using deep neural networks. However, you can find some recent papers by searching by using Google. Okay, thank you for listening. And if you have more questions, you can use the anonymous board. Okay, thank you.